I'm Iyaz Akhtar with TWiT.tv, and I have here the Lenovo IdeaPad U300s, and this is Lenovo's Ultrabook. You can see how thin it is at under half an inch thick. But one of the things about this is that it's very rigid. It's made out of aluminum, and you don't have any flex on it, which is really nice for something this thin. Now, you might notice something. It's super bright orange. This is Lenovo's Clementine orange color. If you don't like that, you can go with the graphite gray, which is much more understated. Let's take a look around what we have here on the ports. Because it's an Ultrabook, no optical drive. We have a power port, an HDMI out, a USB 3 as denoted by the blue, and then there's a port here that serves as dual function as a mic and headphone jack. On the other side, we have a USB port. The vents are actually located on the side, and there's a one-key recovery button there. We'll talk about that in a second. On the bottom, notice, you can't replace the battery. It's sealed in. There's no vents over here because Lenovo put it on the side. And this thing really doesn't get very hot. So if you want to take out the battery, though, you can't do that. Let's actually open this thing up and use it like we would in real life. Now, this is an Ultrabook. You probably will hold it in your living room like this. It takes about 4 seconds to boot up from asleep. It's not so bad. It's pretty quick, actually. The display is a 13.3-inch display with a resolution of 1366 by 768, so you can watch HD stuff on this. But I did notice that when you're looking at something white, you'll notice the space between the pixels, kind of a screen door effect. Once you see it, you can't unsee it, unfortunately. The keyboard, well, this is an Ultrabook, so there's not a lot of travel with these keys, but it'll do the job, I think. It's a little shallower than I would like. And the trackpad is gigantic, and it's made out of glass, so it does support multi-touch functions. So if I want to do pinch and zoom on a page, let's do that. You can see the pinch and zoom work. 4-finger sweeps actually do bring up different things. That we have a wallpaper selector if you want, also a notepads app if you want it. Now, one of the things I found out in the actual usage of this device is when I try to type on this, accidental input on the trackpad was unavoidable. It was very difficult. Anytime I hit the space button, I ended up hitting the trackpad by accident. Now, I thought it was just me, but I let other people try out this Lenovo, and they also complained of the same problem. If Lenovo put a little bit more space between the trackpad and the space bar, maybe that would have helped. If you turn down the sensitivity, effectively you have to drag your fingers so that you don't have these accidental input anymore. It's just really, really a big problem with this thing. Also on the keyboard, no backlit keyboard. Now, this is a $1,500 unit, at least this one is, and you'd think it would have that kind of thing. On the display, it doesn't get any higher than 1366 by 768, which I thought was a little low res. This unit has an Intel Core i7. Now, you can get one with an i5, and we did some light video editing with this. This thing never got hot, which was really kind of a nice feature. We did a video editing test of an 80-second clip, or a couple of clips, a 720p video. Let's show you that. Now, to make a 720p upscale to 1080p video took about 5 minutes. This is an 80-second clip. When we wanted to do a 720p video test of 720p, it took about 1 minute. So it's really, really snappy. But then again, what are you going to be using this for? This is an Ultrabook. You probably are going to be going online. I mean, that's what people do. This thing played back flash video very, very nicely. We were able to have 2 flash videos up at one time. I don't know why you would do that, but you could if you wanted to. If you wanted to watch Hulu and TWiT at the same time, you could on this thing. Things rendered very fast. Basically, the performance was very, very snappy with this thing. But then again, that's if you don't type. So if you're just simply using the trackpad and you're just clicking things around, that's great. But if you like to type, you might be running into the same problem I had with this trackpad. Now, Lenovo says you can get 8 hours of usage out of this thing, and I basically use this as I would my normal laptop. I got 5 hours out of this. I was downloading videos, I was making movies, I was even recording audio. I did everything I normally do, which I don't think a lot of people do. 5 hours out of this thing, and I mean, I beat this thing up. Did a very good job on that. Also, I left it unplugged over the weekend. It only lost maybe 10% of its charge, so that was a really cool feature about this thing. On the side, you have this one key button. This will launch the recovery software on this thing. So if Windows becomes unresponsive on Lenovo's ThinkPad here, you can click this button and then you will go into the system restore function. So that's a really cool function of this laptop. But there's no SD card slot on this, which I noticed, which is kind of a downer. If you have any content that you want to put on this, like your video editing or whatever, you better be doing it via USB because there's no real other option unless you want to go to the cloud. So if you're in your living room and you want to send a YouTube video right to a television, if you have Intel Wide-Eye technology built into your TV or the adapter, that's a pretty cool function because you're probably going to have this, right in your living room. You're like, oh yeah, let's show you that video. Inevitably, this Ultrabook is going to be compared to that other ultra thin and light notebook from Apple. Now, I've used the MacBook Air, and I haven't had the trackpad issues or the keyboard issues. Now, this thing was very, very frustrating when it came to typing. Now, if you do a lot of typing, this might drive you nuts. So, is this a buy, try, or don't buy? I gotta say, due to the price and the lack of functions and that trackpad driving me insane, I have to say, don't buy. I'm Iyaz Akhtar with TWiT.tv, and this is the Lenovo IdeaPad U300s.